Recording, yes. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the episode 10 of Society Behind Wow. Society Behind Wow is conceived by none other than Shobha Arya, and today we have successfully completed 10th episode. On the eve of Happy Mother's Day, I would also like to have double congratulations to everyone. One for completing the 10th episode and the second for Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Anu. And yes, a big congratulations to us on Society Behind Wow, episode 10. And yes, once again, wishing you all a very happy Mother's Day. And today we have two esteemed guests with us, and we welcome them to the Society Behind Wow. Let's welcome our first guest, Dr. Ali Akbar Memoon, a young, dynamic, and handsome, I must say, a business psychologist with an experience in HR, stress coaching, clinical issues, a professional with diverse career history and experience of working in variety of environments.
Wow. And our second guest today is Lucille White. She's a creator of Truth Model, pioneer in evolution of soul consciousness, quantum energy healer, psychic, telepath, and interspecies soul communicator. Discovering the language of soul has been Lucille's prime human purpose since she came out of coma in 2007.
Welcome, both of you. Today is Mother's Day. So, Ali, let's begin with asking you, what is the message that you would like to give your mother and the mother of your kids on Mother's Day?
Wow, that's a lovely question and a lovely beginning for the day. Happy Mother's Day to all the women out there and the mothers, those who are watching this episode live. And the question, the minute I woke up, I wrote few lines to my mother saying that today is Mother's Day, but I'm sure every son would be gifting something to other. Let me take out some time, go back to the memories of my childhood where I have spent that time with you. I wrote it down and I sent a message to her.
Can
I
you
also did.
can you read the poem out for us? That would be so nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
I am not a poet, to be very honest. Okay. But I'm just going to read it out so that definitely it would connect. So today, everyone will be wishing Happy Mother's Day and sending gifts, cutting cakes, having a house party, etc. My biggest gift to my mother would be dedicating time to think of memories we had together and praising and praying for her.
Oh
I
wow.
vividly remember my childhood days where she was sitting on floor and making chapatis on a kerosene stove. I
Wow.
vividly remember my childhood days when she used to pick up me from school. I vividly remember my childhood days when she used to travel all alone tens of kilometers to attend my parent teacher school meeting when we shifted to Chennai. I vividly remember my childhood days when she complained to my teachers and they in turn did the same. I vividly remember my childhood days when she used to get irritated as all day long I would be searching for something to munch in the kitchen. So this is something where I connect with my wife. She gets irritated on my younger one who keeps doing the same thing as I did. I vividly remember my childhood days when she would sit with me for hours teaching me all the subjects. I vividly remember my childhood days when she would blush and feel proud of me. I vividly remember my college days when she had come to my graduation ceremony. I vividly remember the days back in London when I used to cook tasteless dal with little uncooked rice. That was the day when I realized what is a mother's love and the food that she used to cook for me. I vividly remember the day when my wife stepped into my life and my mother had a sigh of relief. Dear mom, all the memories are fresh and heartwarming. In fact, runs like a movie in my head. May God bless you with tons of health, wealth, abundance, and happiness. And this is what I sent to her. And she in turn sent me a message saying, all I want is the love from you, bacha. and I pray for all your happiness as well.
Very nice, Ali. Every word has touched my heart also personally.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I really wish all the children who are listening to take care of their parents, especially the mother, because there is no replacement for the mother in this life.
Shobha, I would really like you to say a few lines on your mom. She's 96 and you still hold her very dearly in your heart.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you, Shobha. The tears are good. Aansu अच्छे हैं. And Lucille has asked me not to ask her any questions, so we will really respect that. But I would really like to hear from you, Shobha. Thank you.
Yes, exactly, Ali. Talking about mom, I always have tears in my eyes because I'm very, very close to her. And since 5 years now, she's been paralytic. She not speak. I'm waiting to hear a few words from her that I can understand or relate to, do something for her, because you may get everything, you may get loads and tons of money, you may get friends, you may even get a father for that matter, but a mother you will never ever get in your life. So I really, really want all the kids to value the parents the best possible way they can. And I'm feeling very blessed that for the past 5 years, I am serving her very wholeheartedly, very happily, and it is her blessings through which I am just going with the flow of my life. You know, there are times, there are so many limitations with managing a person who is paralytic at home and right at the work front and moving outside the house because there's no one to take care of her as such. So I'm taking care of her, I'm balancing my work also, and the work is just happening with the flow, I must say. Okay, people are just connecting to me and things are happening on auto mode, and I believe that these are nothing but her blessings to me. So that's all. A mother is just not replaceable, in this life or any other. And I wish all the kids my true blessings, that they should get the divine wisdom in understanding the importance of the parents, but especially the mother in their life. So thank you so much, Ali.
Thank you. I would like to add one more thing.
Sure.
All of us definitely have one biological mother, and the other mother, when you get married to their son or daughter as well, that day also you get another mother. So I made one for my mother-in-law also,
Oh,
but it's
wow.
very
That's
short. I will just read that for you.
sure,
Okay.
sure. Please.
So I vividly remember the days when I saw you stepping out of car in Sidhpur. Sidhpur is a city where I met her for the first time. I vividly remember the day when I put my arms around you and asked you your daughter's hand. I vividly remember the stress and tension on your head when it was about giving away your daughter for life. I vividly remember the tears that you shed when bidding her adieu. I vividly remember the happiness when seeing your grandson in your arms. I vividly remember the day when life gave me another mother who would nurture and love me for the other part of my life. I am blessed to have two mothers in one lifetime.
Wow.
Very, very well said, Ali. And it's really, really appreciated. People not even think of their mothers so precisely as you have even taken the trouble to give a few kind words to your mother in law. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to, instead of Lucille, speak about my mom today because I
Sure.
not lose an opportunity like this. I just want to tell her that I love you. That's all.
Thank you so much, Anu.
Thank you so much, Lucille. We can't see you, my dear. I don't know whether you're aware of it. Thank you. So,
Hi.
Okay.
Yeah, I turned the camera off because the floods of tears came. So I was like,
as much,
Right.
thought as much.
I'm sorry, you beautiful ladies, I made you all
No,
cry,
no, it's
but this was
fine.
definitely for the
Yes,
mother that we have with
it
us. Yeah.
a mother. I mean, I don't know. I have no words, but my only really advise to all the youth is, especially in this generation who absolutely have no respect for their parents, they better realize the importance of the parents in their life, and especially the mother. Okay, there is no one who will stand by them in this life in the thick and thin except the mother.
Absolutely. No doubt at all.
So, so I'm very glad, Ali, that you shared, and I mean, even we shared. So it feels lighter to me also now.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
So over to you, Shobha.
Let's start the session. So, well, today we are going to have an in-depth session with Lucille and Ali and learn a lot from them. Having said that, let's begin our conversation with Lucille. So, Lucille, if you can highlight for us, what is the truth model that you have created and how can that bring a shift in one's life?
Unmute yourself, sweetheart. Unmute yourself.
Hi. So it was interesting how it came about. I still remember on the day, 30th of June, I was busy doing a regression session and I downloaded some really important information.
Mm-hmm.
And it shed a lot of light on, at that time, I was very involved with mental health and diagnostics. And there was a lot of information about why the organs change and how it connects with our beliefs and things like that. And what the truth model gave me something a little bit extra because it highlighted the soul conflicts and what specifically was it, why did we come here, and what part of our consciousness at a soul level did we want to evolve? And it was just so beautiful because I could see how everything was so divinely scripted, at mind, body, soul, spiritual level. It all fitted into this beautifully written script. So for many years, I looked into, what was everyone's unique consciousness that they came in, what were they evolving, and what was their beautiful gifts that they brought to the table. So essentially what the truth model was looking at soul evolution, the consciousness of the soul evolution, looking at, the whole holistic environment that it is so intrinsically part of. So yeah, that was the principles behind the truth model.
How does it bring a shift in one's life, Lucille, with the truth model? If you just can highlight on that as well.
Okay, sure. So I will talk a lot from my personal experience because I think, once we actually do experience something ourselves, we can see how that shifted. So it took me from a place of not knowing, not realizing that there was something behind every conflict we have, and not only from a physical level, but from a spiritual level. And when I started working with clients, it really put me at a place of acceptance, accepting that everyone's soul divine script that they're busy working with is absolutely correct. So I can look at the most horrific events in one's life, and from a personal point of view, in my personal family, we've had quite a lot of traumatic, horrific events, but I was able to look at each one and accept it from every single cell in my body, and to get a person to a point of acceptance, but not only a point of acceptance, but to be inspired by the divine orchestra of what that's been playing out. So it took me from a place of certainly being the victim, from not knowing, and why could these horrific things happen to my family, my clients, and things like that, to a place of total acceptance and awe, and then get excitement. Because then I started getting excited. It's like, oh, wow, okay, so you've gone on this amazing journey. What is the gifts that you bring to everybody? So it's when I was able to share the gifts with everyone that took a person from, whether they were raped or there was murdered or addictions or whatever, but took them from a place of that position to a place of, wow, oh my gosh, this is actually what I'm doing in my life. This is what I'm bringing to the table. And wow, I'm actually amazing. Or that situation or their biggest challenger is actually amazing. And they get to a place of forgiveness and total gratitude. So that's essentially what the truth model brought to the table for me and working with clients.
So basically, it helped you evolve and understand the acceptance, and of course, help your clients to teach them to come into the acceptance and then bring a shift in their life in their own way, and however you would guide them, right?
Sure, it was bridging the, when we have conflict shocks at an org level, we also have the hologram of this at a soul level. So it was integrating all those parts. And what I was noticing every time I was integrating the duality within myself, getting to a place of total acceptance, my own consciousness was evolving, but not in a normal way. I just became more, the degrees of separation started disappearing. So I was like, and I started being able to tune in to all different kinds of things. So that was essentially what I was doing. It was bridging those degrees, pulling those parts, those separate parts together at a soul level. And then, I had just so much more access to what is out there, which was truly one thing that I noticed was a big, massive shift for me and people that I was working with.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lucille. We'll come back to you, and over to Anu now.
So Ali, this is for you.
Yeah.
आपने business psychology करी, you've done business psychology, and how did this business psychology help you in your spiritual journey? Thank you.
Right. So business psychology is more to understand how more of the businessmen work and how the organization functions and how training, how coaching and development can help them. When I was doing this, and after completing, when I was working in HR, what I understood was, apart from these trainings, apart from the coaching that we go giving them, there's a lot of thing that is important, and that is your spirituality. It's not that everything is going to happen on its own. What is important is to also understand how much time are you dedicating yourself in being spiritual. Okay, so where two things which I understood was important was, one was forgiveness plays a very important role in your life. Number two is your acceptance, acknowledgement of that situation that you are in. And number third one, which is the most important, which Lucille also said, is the gratitude. So no matter what you do, these three things, if you do every day, a lot of things will change for you. A lot of things will bring in a shift, not to yourself only, but to people around you as well. So this is a great learning which I had.
Right. Ali, you know what? Something just before you said this in the business psychology, I have designed a module.
Mhm.
Okay. And it is exactly, I didn't know what business psychology is. I have just taken my own intuitions and, all those powers, and I have designed a business module. Not a business module, I can say, but a spiritual module. Okay.
Okay.
Where, which I am going to be launching soon, and that is specially towards understanding, because when you tell people that you have to do certain things on daily basis, okay,
Yeah.
they just don't pay heed to what you're saying, and they just take things very lightly until they come into a situation that brings that shift in their life, and then they are forced to do things.
Yes.
So it is just very relatable. So I just thought I will just tell you that this is what I have created, and I'm going to be launching that soon.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. Basically, what happens is people, can't follow system, can't
Hmm.
follow a protocol. What is important to understand that today your body, your living, your soul is following a system. Okay, every organ in your body is following a system. So if you want to change, you will definitely have to work or follow on a system. And if you dedicate that time for this forgiveness, for acceptance and acknowledgement and the gratitude, the shift will just happen like this, because that is what your body has also been wanting physically. So spirituality plays a very important role for being physically fit, for being emotionally and mentally fit as well.
So, Ali, you said there are three pillars of the story.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on those three pillars?
Yes.
Thank you.
So forgiveness. I'm sure most of us are ready for forgiveness. Okay. And major of us are never ready for forgiveness. Why should I ask forgiveness? I am not wrong. I cannot be wrong. Why am I only wrong all the time? This is the major thing which happens with all of us. So, not looking at whether you are wrong, whether he or she is wrong or right, if you just forgive that person, magic will happen. Second one is most of the times we're not ready to accept that, yes, this is something happening in my life. I am going through a troubled life, or I'm going through a troubled boss, or whatever it is, or a dysfunctional family, or my life is just, wasted, gutted. If you just accept that, okay, I am having so and so which is happening in my life, when you acknowledge that, things will change.
Acknowledge and
Lastly,
surrender. Surrender.
surrender. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can also bring in the surrender word. And then that's grateful. I mean, today you are having a dysfunctional life, or a family, or a relationship, but you are living. Can't you just be grateful for that? You are having a house to live, you are having good time to spend with your friends, the food to eat and whatnot. Everyone has a different situation, but can we just take out those few minutes to be grateful for that? No, we just want to complain. We just do not want to forgive. We just do not want to accept and acknowledge the situations we are. We just want to crib about it all day long.
So how does it help the business?
Absolutely. At this moment in time, there are those business people, those who are going through times which they haven't gone through in their life. There are no businesses happening. So
Absolutely.
my take would be on this. Instead of sitting and thinking there is no business, why can't you take this as an opportunity to work on your business model, to work on something that has not been working, or to work or advance on something that has been working for you? Why can't you take out time to develop yourself, develop your skills and techniques, or develop the skills and techniques of your employees or people under you? If you just sit there and say government kuch nahi kar rahi hai, or my business is not working, it's not going to help. But if you just take out that 15-20 minutes to sit and work every day, that this is what I'm going to do going forward, I'm sure a lot of things will change for you. And I've seen those people, those are doing things are changing for them.
Thank you so much. Yes, Anna.
Wow. I mean, so much around gratitude. I was wondering if you can share with the audience and with us any one place where you felt that you couldn't forgive, you couldn't accept, you couldn't give gratitude. Because generally, our story begins from our story.
Absolutely.
Always a need within us to change something. And we never say out of just learning, we say out of experiences. And I'm sure you went through your own experiences. It would be brilliant if you could share that with us. Thank you so much, Ali.
Absolutely. That's the point. Anything which I've done till date has been for my own learning, than the learning or than the training that I've given for any of the patients or client. So my situation, where I would say, where I had to go through a tough time understanding of what I had to do with my life. Okay. there's been a major part of my life where I've been thinking whether I should be a professional or whether I should be a businessman, because I come from a background which is of businessmen. We are only businesses. Okay, profession is there, but business is what is going to take you forward. So at that moment in time, I used to think, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to handle, or how am I supposed to move ahead in my life? Then there was a point where I accepted that even though I have a professional, even though I have been training and educating and learning my complete life to become a professional, business is also there, which I have to take. As this is a family business, I have to take it ahead and forward in my life. So acceptance and acknowledgement came there. I then had to forgive myself for many, forgive people, those who were in a way hindrance in my life, in a way not allowing me to move ahead in my life. That could be anyone. For you it could be anyone. For me, I know the people, those who are there in my life, so I started forgiving them. I also in a way acknowledged and accepted that maybe what they are doing is for my betterment, is for me tomorrow to move ahead in my life. And then comes the gratitude part, where I was thankful for the everyday learning and everyday, the grinding that goes through your mind here, what to do, what not to do, how to move ahead, how not to move ahead. Today I am a part of my family business. I also have a professional practice which I do. So this is the main thing which I would say for the people, those who are going through that, what to do and what not to do. Sit down, make use of these three simple techniques, tools, which is forgiveness, which is acceptance or acknowledgement, and gratitude. And I'm sure you will see your life changing or blooming like a fresh flower in few weeks, few months, few days, few years time.
Thank you so much. Over to Shobha.
Thank you, Ali.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lucille. Lucille, I have always been very inquisitive with soul consciousness, and this has been since childhood, not now. So, can you please help us understand how many types of souls are there as per your study, and why is it important to awaken your soul, and how does it help the life after death?
So when you put the first question, how many types of souls?
Yes.
Is that what was that question?
Yes.
When you asked it,
Like we say, this is a new soul, this is an old soul.
okay. So I refer to it as a young soul.
Lucille Internet.
I think of that. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Now, yes.
Yeah. Yes. It is something that's been very interesting for me once, and I remember I was very curious, and I have this ability to tune into souls and different vibrations and things like that. So I did an experiment once. I took a whole lot of people that I knew, and when you meet them, as we meet each other, people have different statuses and different authorities and things like that. But I always used to push all of that aside because I was curious. Could someone that has been, perhaps is a CEO, is a leader, and has achieved much success in life, doesn't mean that person is a mature, evolved soul? Because I had my doubts. So I took, it was about 20 people, and I tuned into them, and I rated them, gave a rated out of 10, 0, very young soul, and 10 being quite an evolved and mature soul. And I was so fascinated by my results in that, because the people that you expected to be quite mature were quite young. And I was also doing testing out on young children. And my niece, for example, she was a very old soul. And at that time, she was 8 years old. So I was never fooled after that experiment. I was never fooled by what I was presented with visually. And then I got curious, what makes an old soul, and how can we recognize an old soul versus a young? And so for me, the older mature souls, I noticed that things became effortless. They were able to attract naturally, without any effort, things of a higher vibration or of a greater consciousness, people of greater awareness. And it didn't show up in those people that were perceived to be very successful. So I, over the years, have just observed and to see if I could recognize a young and an old soul. A young soul would, I almost got when I observed them, they almost fumbled with life. So maybe they were a little bit awkward in their bodies, or a little bit late to develop, or they took a little bit longer to grasp certain things. They weren't very spiritually awakened, and they weren't very conscious. And they also weren't very, connected. So the more they evolved, the soul became more connected. It became more connected with nature, especially, and different species. So there were just these telltale signs. I lived with I lived with over 100 people, probably about 160 people. So I have had much opportunity to observe people living with them, because I noticed, like, after 3 months, I really got a sense of who they are and how they operated in life and their challenges. So all of those little markers helped me evaluate the age of the soul. Later, when I was able to go into their soul programs, I could also then discern the younger souls versus the older souls. So it was through observation of over many people, kind of understood that was behind the scene. And it was really hard for maybe the person that wasn't that experienced to discern an old from a young soul.
All right. So for someone to understand in a very simple way, Lucille, the difference between the old soul and the young soul is as simple as a person who is inclined or attracted towards spirituality, towards godliness, are the old souls. Is that right? And the other
change. I noticed with the older souls, their values change. So they were more curious with more spiritual stuff, and probably less curious about the materialistic plane. So they certainly their values, there's a remarkable difference. So they're not so attached to the physical world as the younger souls are, because they're curious and they're really stuck in the physical world. But they kind of changes. It's like, okay, I can make sense of the physical world, but actually I'm really drawn to a more spiritual kind of take on life, if one could put it that way. So their values change. What's important to them definitely changes. And then they have all those beautiful qualities like acceptance and gratitude and forgiveness. It's a lot easier for them to work with. The younger souls is less easy to work with.
And why do you think, Lucille, it's important for a soul to be awakened? Like, because we are everybody, we are just the bodies. Everyone has a soul inside, and it is important, we say, to awaken your soul. So why do you think it's so important to awaken your soul?
Okay,
are there some lessons in that we need to learn, which which is the reason why we need to awaken and understand our purpose, or how does it all work?
Sure. Um, hmm. The more we are able to awaken our souls, the more we are able to let go of all those karmic attachments. And the more awake we are, the less separate we feel. So the less unconscious we are, the more divided we feel in life. And we live out a life in polarity, which affects our whole soul, affects our energy. So everything, all our perceptions that we have in life is part of. Okay, so when we are awakening, we having more access to our fullness, our full soul consciousness, and the full divine consciousness, universal consciousness. So that happens when we awaken, when we open ourselves up to receive more that is available to us, to receive more light into our beings, and have more richer experience of every day, even the mundane that we live with in our everyday. You know, everything becomes an experience, a spiritual experience, and that happens the more awake we are.
Absolutely. And how does
Yeah.
soul awakening help life after death?
Okay, so I think, it helps initially with the transition from life to death, passing over. It certainly helps dissolve the fear in letting go of this plane, this existence, because we know that we are moving to the light, which is also very helpful with letting go. So it certainly helps with detachment. And in my experience with working with souls that have not completely moved over, so I work with a lot of attached souls, souls that have not wanting to still remain in this dimension. So when I work with those particular souls, or those souls kind of just hanging around, kind of lost in many ways, when I work with those souls and heal those parts, which awaken a part of them within, those souls are able to leave a lot easier. So I think it's how it helps is it dissolves the fear. It makes it okay to let go, to move on to wherever that soul needs to move on. I believe there's different places. And yeah, so yeah, certainly how does it help? It makes the passage a lot easier. It makes the, I'm just referring back to my coma experience. I was in a coma, and actually, I'm not gonna. Sorry, I'm not gonna bring that up now because
Okay.
it'll go down completely.
It definitely makes the passage easier. That is for sure. Because it's important because, like you rightly said, it also helps you with detachment.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's,
And
yeah.
Also, one more question I would like to add here, Lucille, for you, since it's a very interesting topic and there are answers that I am also seeking. So let me just go ahead and ask you, you work with both type of souls, the departed souls and the souls who are existing. So what is the difference when you are dealing with the departed souls and while somebody is alive and you're connecting to them? So what is it? Of course, you connecting to the soul, you can get the full history of the person by connecting to the soul inside out. That is for sure. But what is the difference between the departed soul connection and the person who's alive, and how do you connect, and how do these things happen?
Sure. So I've, over the years, evolved the way I connect with souls. In my early days, I used to connect it via kinesiology and muscle testing and things like that. And I kind of evolved as I was evolving my own consciousness in the way that I could connect. Also, certain events in my life, I've had quite a few near-death experiences, and I think that really shot my consciousness up at a quantum leap, which made connecting almost instantaneous. You know, it doesn't take me long to connect. So I have to raise my vibration, my resonance to match that of the soul. And it doesn't matter if it's a plant or an animal or whatever it is. But the moment I have it at that level, then I can connect. So at a human level, yeah. Actually, I'm going to give you an example.
Sure.
And it's something I'm currently working with. Now, I connect with humans and animals in the same way. In the end of last year, I was connecting to this one particular animal, and I hadn't even met him, but we had such a soul connection, and I landed writing a book which I'm going to be publishing. And we had this daily soulful dialogue communication. I can do this with a human as well. And what was interesting, or what I wanted to know, is if I met this animal in person, would they automatically connect with me because I've had such a soulful conversation with this animal? And so when I came to meet the animal, it wasn't the case. And it really got me thinking. I thought, oh, wow, so I really am connecting at a different dimension. As souls in the form, in the flesh, we communicating to each other all the time without even realizing. Our conscious mind has so many filters, we don't even realize we communicate. So that was a really good experiment for me. I was like, okay, so they're really not. I thought they would come to the gate, or it wasn't like that at all. And then actually yesterday I did a little experiment, because at the moment I'm really experimenting with this as well. There was another animal which I'd never met, and I thought, okay, so if I can maybe sit right next to it as if we are sitting together across the table, and then how does that translate? And this particular animal was really fearful, in a traumatized state, and after 5 or 10 minutes it came closer to me. So there was a difference with me connecting at a distance and me connecting in person. So the energy is quite different. And me connecting to someone that's passed. Okay, I'll give you quite an interesting example. So my mom, and I was feeling emotional earlier. My mom was murdered 7 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And it was really, I am so grateful for her, because she gave me such a profound understanding around all of this. So the day that she was murdered, I went to go visit. Well, we just went straight there. It was on a farm. And the investigator, I asked them, please go see her. And they said, absolutely not. We don't allow any family, especially if she's still there. I said, but I'm a healer and I'd like to go pray next to her. And then eventually they allowed that. And what was amazing was, obviously it wasn't amazing, but to really understand this area, I remember sitting next to her and I put my hand on her chin, and it was ice cold. And I had a little bit of a self-abandoned conflict, because I could, obviously there was her body, but she was not there. There was evidence that she was not there. So anyway, come the following day, I went up to where her body lay, And my cousin was with me. She was captain. She said, put your hands over where her body was. I thought, why? Why should I do that? And I did. And then all of a sudden, my hands started moving. And it moved automatically. And this was the start of me really going into the work that I do now. It started moving automatically. And I'm also a shapeshifter, so what she allowed me to do is actually experience what she experienced. And this went on for about 30 or 45 minutes. And then all of a sudden, my hands just dropped down. But in that moment, and as a few moments later, this space that was in filled up with the scent. And I looked at my cousin and I said, what is that? She says, that's the scent of your mom. Your mom is being released. And she had experienced this. And I thought, wow, that's crazy. It was such a strong smell. So a few days later, I had in my bedroom was built in cupboards and a walk-in bathroom. I came out the walk-in bathroom and all of a sudden I could smell that smell in the bedroom. It was the exact same smell. And I stopped for a moment and I thought, is she here? Does she want to communicate? And straight away I grabbed a pen and piece of paper and communicated to her, and she gave us all a message. So that was pretty profound. But I knew after reflecting that because of the trauma, her energy, her soul probably would have been trapped in this dimension, had I not given her that healing. So come few months later, I was curious. Now I don't often, connect to deceased, but I was curious. I wanted to connect with her. And I had been doing a lot of soul work on my family, a lot of healing work on them over this last year. So I connected with her and I wanted to give her a message. And the first thing she said to me, she said, I'd like to thank you for all the healing that you have done on me, which for me was, wow, so I was doing the work and it was still having at a soul level, it was healing her wounds. So that was quite a profound knowing the impact that we are having on those souls that have left the other side. And she was at a new place of peace, certainly from when she first passed away 7 years ago. So there's been many things that I've wanted to explore to get an richer understanding for myself. What is happening on the other side? Are we able to still heal, when the soul has left and moved on? And that was such a concrete yes. It really does have an impact. I mean, I've heard many, many stories, but there was a personal story that I thought, wow, okay, so that there is a big difference. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lucille. It was really, really very interesting to learn about the soul in such a short while. And, with soul, it's always a good connect. So I don't know why, but then I, as a child, had read a book, The Laws of the Spirit World. So from that time onwards, I've always been seeking and trying to find out the answers to myself and the questions and trying to connect to my soul in all the possible ways. And I've been guided also in the right path. So I was very inquisitive to learn about souls always. So thank you so much, and over to Anu. Thank you.
Let's go over to Ali. Ali, I believe you're the master of many therapies. So could you mention first how many therapies do you know which help physical and emotional issues? Thank you.
Right. To start with, the first one which I went through was NLP and hypnosis. And while I was doing this in London, I came across something called EFT, and which was very powerful. I just got to do the first part of it. And then when I came back to India, I'm sure I did that with you. And so I have an advanced EFT practitioner. And along with that, I have also done matrix re-imprinting. I am a meta health trainer, definitely again under you. I also have many other modalities which I do, which is like batch flower remedies, aromatherapy, numerology. Then we have the My Health device, definitely yes. We have a Lecker antenna, angel card therapies, and what else? What
Wow.
else we have?
Sound
There are a few more. Yeah, sound therapy is the one which is the latest with, which is completely, like the person who has having physical and emotional issues, when you take them through the sound, the spiritual issues also go away. So that's a closure. So basically my aim when I have a client or a patient in front of me is make use of any modalities that's suiting that particular patient or client, and then take giving him the best of solutions so that he's out of the problem that he is into. Yeah.
share with us one interesting experience that you've probably had when you've mixed various modalities and worked with the person. Could you
Yeah,
share with us
so
thing that
definitely.
found with you? Thank you.
Yes. So I'll give you a few examples of different modalities that I've worked with patients who have come to me. Like I had one of the lady who had come with issues where the pregnancy was not happening for quite some time. Already she was married, she was having one kid, but the pregnancy wasn't happening. And she had one or two sessions with me. And the first session, usually we exchange information, trying to understand what exactly is happening with the client on the other side. And the second or third session, I had a sound session with her, and to say 30 to 40 minutes a sound session. And after that, when she was back, I just normally spoke to her and asked her if she was okay, and if everything was fine. She was like, yes, I'm fine. But and through the session, I felt something leaving my body, and I'm feeling very light. And say after a few weeks time, I got the news that she was pregnant.
Wow.
So that was something like a session on coaching, understanding where the client is, what's happening, and then making use of the modality, which is sound bowl healing, and helping them out. There was a client who came to me with the issues of addictions. Now, we all have various kinds of addictions. This particular person was more to do with smoking issues, and I went through the modalities that I do, and it was not working out. And then I said, you know what, let's work on something called aromatherapy. I gave her a essentials oil, and I told her, what work, one dose in the morning, one dose in the evening. All you have to do is take 3 4 drops of oils, rub it, inhale it morning and evening. And she did. And after a week's time, she came to me and she said, you know what, I have reduced the number of fags that I used to take every day. And that was something, like within 3 to 4 days time. And that that stress has completely gone down. Now I have the time to think and work on many other things. This was something very profound, which work with um, essential oils with batch flower remedies and EFT. I've been using for a lot of weight loss patients, whose weight has not been moving, although they exercise, although they have diets, but still they're not able to lose weight or not work. So I work on their emotional parts, the issues that they have been facing in their life. So with EFT, I help them tapping and releasing those stress or negativity that's there. And with the batch flower, they have something to take home that they can have every day, 4 times a day. So which helps them basically is just to help them, that they have something so that they can follow. As I said earlier also, if you just follow the process, if you just follow the system, things will work for you. So this is just for that to happen.
Wow.
So yeah.
So, Ali, take us through a little bit more on what sound healing is all about, and if you
Mhm.
can brief us on how that particularly helps in mental, emotional, and at physical level. If you could maybe quote an example other than you've
Yeah.
already put it. So, if you can give us a little bit more understanding on this topic, thank you.
Sure. So I would always say that all of these modalities that I've worked on are for me personal. So I would always share and start with my personal example, then giving any client's example. So with the sound healing, the mental and emotional thing works very profoundly, because At one point in time, physically, you know what the issue is happening. Okay. You also get to know from your, say therapist, whoever it is, that subconsciously this is happening. But then how do you take it out is the issue. You don't know that. With many modalities, you work it out, you get you get the success. But with certain modalities, it doesn't work at all. So what happens is, with sound, it takes you to a complete different realm. Okay, where you're going to flush out all those things that have been not working for you. Now, how that's going to happen, it can be different for different people. For few people, it's very subtle, it's very calm. You see the patient is lying down, the client is lying down, going through a very good session. For few, you see they're moving around. And for few, it's completely, like, what on earth is happening? So with me, that was the case when I went through the sound bowl healing. The first session, I mostly started speaking Tibetan language, which I was not aware about. Okay, later I had to go to Google, YouTube, listen to a few people talking the Tibetan language, and I got to know that, okay, this is Tibet. I've not been to Tibet, to be very honest. I don't know the language also. But during the session, I was speaking that. During my second session, I was speaking Arabic. I can read Arabic, I cannot speak Arabic, but I was speaking the Arabic language. I am a fitness freak, I do yoga, but during the session, I was able to do poses, which I'm sure my physiotherapist or my yoga instructor would say, you can't do this early when you're conscious. That means when you are out of the session, you can't do this because it, has that impact on your back. But during the session, I was able to do it smoothly. And to be really honest, from the first session, which was for 30, 40 minutes, when I got out of that sound healing session, I removed my specs, which I'm wearing. I kept it aside for the first 30, 40 minutes because I could see everything very clearly and brighter than the specs that I wore.
Wow.
So the session, you know, went very heavy for me. Okay, because you drain. Because the reason is, when you drain, when your body drains, when your body exhausts, gets exhausted, that means you have let go of many things that you shouldn't be taking or you shouldn't be having it. So these are the various experiences which I have had with sound bowls. And on a mental level, on an emotional level, sound bowl is a very terrific and powerful tool and technique that can be useful in today's date and time as well.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. I am really amazed with your experiences and in gratitude actually for you sharing this, because not many probably know that such profound changes can be created in people. So, did this change anything in your personal life? Did you kind of, after going through these changes or going through this healing, how did it impact your life? This is what happened in the session, but how did it change your personal life?
My personal life completely has taken a 360 degree. My professional life has taken a complete 360 degree, because there's a lot of things that was going around in my mind and in my life, both personally and professionally. But I guess after those 2 or 3 sessions of sound bowl and the other modalities that I was doing alongside, everything changed. Everything changed. And at times it is very difficult for you to understand how that change is. But I can guarantee you that the people around me, my family, my friends, will vouch for it, that things have changed in me. Maybe they don't know how these changes have been happening, but I know that because of so and so modalities and therapies that I've been practicing for these years are bringing this change in me. It's made me get more involved with them. It's made me more involved in my business. It's made me think in a bigger picture, that we say. So before the modalities, the picture was quite small. Okay, after the modality, I've started thinking bigger and bigger and bigger. So in simple ways, this can be the change that I have seen in my life. And I'm sure with my friends and families and relatives, they have seen much.
Ali, I would like to add here something.
Yeah.
You have done multiple modalities, and you have shared this experience of sound bowl, which kind of I'm also little aware. that it does bring the emotional outburst from whatever pent up emotions that you have. It brings out all that from your DNA level, and then you feel lighter and stuff like that. So, how many of the modalities that you have learned you think actually release things from the DNA level
Okay,
or on the surface level? See, there are two types of medicines that we take, right? We take
right.
allopathy, which suppresses the things within us, and it
Yeah,
comes out in the form of big destructions in our body. And
right.
we take Ayurveda, which actually cures us from the base of whatever the disease is. So, coming back to the modalities, with multiple modalities and the experience that you've had in all these fields, which are the modalities you think actually uh, brings you out from the DNA level, and which are only at the surface level?
Right. So, first thing, I would put it in this way that any disease or any situation that you're going through life, you have to first understand what has happened that has made that happen, that particular disease or that dis-ease that we say in our body. So, I make use of meta health, which is a diagnostic way of understanding what your situation is. So, if
Mhm,
you are having cancer, how did
mhm,
that cancer come? If you are going through diabetes, how
mhm.
did the diabetes come in? If you are having that skin issues, how did that happen? Okay. Then, once the diagnosis is done, I make use of the modality which is known as EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. I'm sure you are aware about that
Oh,
tapping
yes, it
technique.
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. EFT also helps a lot, I'm sure.
Yes, yes. So along with EFT, I also go into the matrix reimprinting part, to the childhood where that inner child is still stuck there. So
Mhm.
help them also come out of that. So that also, so I don't know how many people would agree to this, the other therapists which I'm talking about, other practitioners, but this works on DNA level also. Matrix reimprinting with EFT is a completely different and a powerful tool, and I've seen changes happening in my clients, in my patients, just like that it happens. Apart from that, on the surface level, yes, NLP techniques helps you to bring the issues on your surface level. And then DNA level, which you spoke, see, again, I would tell you that I make use of all these modalities, or I make use of two or three modalities, which is, as I said, it's a tailor-made or a bespoke therapy plan which I give to my client. So when you ask about the DNA, then definitely batch flower remedies, aromatherapy, which is essential oils, and sound healing bowls. These work on a complete different level. In fact, I make use of numerology also when it comes to health issues. So on a surface level, we can get to know what exactly is happening and how we can make use of that.
Mhm. All
We
right.
have my health device which works on a DNA level again. So my health is also a biofeedback powerful tool and a device that helps on a DNA level as well. Yes.
So, if I have to, just for my understanding, I would like to ask,
Hmm.
sound therapy and say pranic healing for that matter, which are, and you said Bajpla therapy and aromatherapy, but do you really think EFT also for that matter,
Hmm.
it definitely helps you out to cure yourself from the DNA level. But then, how long does one need to do an EFT for it to actually show the effect, unlike compared to sound or matrix re-imprinting, which shows results faster?
See, EFT, matrix reimprinting, is basically an advanced version of EFT also. Okay, that
Okay.
is very important.
Mhm.
So EFT, what is in EFT we say is always work on the specific. Okay, if I'm going to sit and tap on these points, thinking that I'm going through stress, it's not going to work.
Absolutely.
Trust me. Or if I'm going to sit and tap that I'm all good, life is positive and everything, it's not going to work. EFT works, one, when you're very specific about the issue that you're going through in your life. Number two, when you are being negative. So the more negative you are when you are tapping, the more release that you do. So definitely it works also. See, most of us, what people do is, okay, EFT kaise karna hai, YouTube mein dekh liya, have seen the videos on the YouTube, start tapping,
Exactly.
start
Huh.
working. Okay,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then they say the modality is not working. Hello, you understood it. Now the next step is to go to a therapist, go to a practitioner who would then take you through the process. So in EFT, there are so many different techniques, so many different ways of working it out. Then you see, if then it doesn't work, then ask your practitioner or then come to a conclusion saying that EFT does not work. I mean, the first modality that I started with was EFT. I used to tap each and every day for my issues. That was the first technique, which has made me to come to this point where I could learn other techniques also. So
Usually
if you
people
ask me,
start with Reiki.
yes, people start with Reiki, but I started with EFT. And then
Yeah.
I learned pranic healing, and then maybe I learned Reiki, and then I came to sound bowl. So the first therapy that came into my life where I had to help people who were eating tobacco, who were eating gutka, or who were alcoholic was EFT.
Can you
It
do
was,
proxy EFT?
yes, we can. Proxy in sense is I am tapping for someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm tapping for someone else, or I'm tapping for someone who's not in my city also,
Hmm.
who is somewhere in some other part of the world or the country, say anywhere. Yes, I can do that for them. It would definitely help them,
Mhm.
but more when they are right in front of me. But yes, you can do proxy. Yeah.
Great, great information, Ali, and thank you so much. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing all this. Over to Lucille. Lucille, thank you so much for your patience and waiting for a long time. Lucille, we just heard in your introduction that in 2007, you were in coma and then you came out of coma. So can you share that experience with us while in coma? When you are in coma, what are the things can you see, can you hear, can you feel? And when you are lying still in the coma with no movement at all, so what is it? Are there any thoughts at that time running in your mind, and how does it work? When can you, if you can share your experience, would be better.
Sure, sure. So I was at home. I was already starting to go into a coma. Well, starting to lose consciousness, and I was taken to hospital by ambulance. By the time I got to the hospital, they put me on life support straight away. And all my vital signs were down. They checked to see if I had any responses. There was absolutely nothing. So to share a little bit about my experience, because I have been asking around and just inquiring about other people that have been in a coma, and I've realized that their experiences are different. So my experience is I could hear everything. I was fully conscious of everything going on around me. I thought that was just the case with everyone that got into a coma. So one of the things that I've been saying over the years to people, no, you need to speak to your loved one, whatnot, who's in a coma, speak to them because they can hear everything. And I believe that is not the case with everybody. So I was fully aware of everything going on around me. But there was absolutely no ways that I could communicate to anybody. So I had my friend, a best friend and ex-partner that was by my bedside. No one knew that I had gone into a coma. And it's interesting because it was very much a theme of my life of not wanting to be seen. And in that whole experience of being in a coma, I wasn't seen. And someone asked me an interesting question the other day. They said, but did you have awareness of your body? And I hadn't actually thought about it, but I had awareness of my body. I had, if I'm not a visual psychic, so I'm not a clairvoyant, I'm a clairaudient, and I'm sentient. So I had this knowing that my body was there. And it was a knowing from a higher place, which was quite interesting for me to know. So I was aware of everything going around me. I could hear the footsteps, I could hear people talking. I felt frustrated because I couldn't communicate. No one could understand me. what was happening is my best friend was talking to me, and I just constantly had these tears rolling down my eyes. I could feel into her emotion. I could feel that she was desperate about, what do I do? What do I do about my friend that's lying there and she doesn't know if I'll ever come around again? So I lay there, I could hear everything, and these tears were rolling down my eyes. And they constantly would come in to check every few hours to check if I had any reflexes. They would dig their, actually, I think they at one point used a pen. They told me afterwards. They would dig into my eyebrows and they would dig into the cuticles, because that's, if you had any reflexes or any response, you would kind of twitch. I tried it afterwards and it's really, really sore. So I remember.
So you could see the doctors doing what they were doing and everything?
No. I had
only the loved ones. You could see the loved ones, but not the doctors and the others who were actually working on you.
I was conscious of what was going on around me, but apart from that, it was almost like my consciousness was outside my body. So I was moving around everything in everything in the room, but I was completely detached from my body. And that was my first experience of being detached from my body and almost having that awareness of consciousness being outside of the body. And something really significant happened. It was early hours in the morning. The hospital had gone quiet, so I just assumed it was early hours in the morning. And I remember lying in the bed, and it was absolutely the most incredibly peaceful state that I've ever experienced. I've never been able to get to that state of inner peace and quietness and just total bliss. And as I was with the state for a long time, I thought to myself, wow, this is just where I want to be. And then what was coming in, the question was, but why would I want to stay? There's nothing that would make me want to stay. I could quite easily, and I had the sense of I could easily just go now. I could let go. It was like deciding to make that final detachment. And I don't know how long I lay there with these thoughts. Sometimes it feels like hours, but in our reality, it could be a few minutes. But it felt like hours that I was lying, contemplating and enjoying the state. But then all of a sudden I had these very distinct words, whether I was connecting directly, my soul was connecting to me, or I don't know, I still don't know 100%. But the words came through was, but you haven't lived your purpose. And it made me stop and contemplate that statement. You haven't lived my purpose. And up until that point, I hadn't known a purpose. It wasn't my way of thinking, or to live your purpose. It was such a foreign statement. But it made me curious enough to go, I haven't lived my purpose. And at that point, in that moment, I decided that was it. I need to live my purpose, regardless of not knowing what it was. And it was the moment I made that decision that I started coming right. Slowly over the next few hours, 5 or 6 hours, however long it took, my vital organs started coming. But that was literally the turning point in that whole experience. And
the other people that were in coma, did they have the same kind of experience, or what difference did they feel?
Sure. So they had no recollection of anything. They went in and they came out. So the bits in between, there was nothing.
Oh,
So I
they did
haven't met
not
another
hear.
person. They did not hear, and I was surprised by this. It was actually something I was, but then I Googled online the other night because I was chatting to another person about it. And I still asked, I said, what, you didn't hear anything? Nothing. And so it really, it made me curious, but I have Googled it. I haven't met anyone in person that's had awareness of their consciousness whilst in a coma. But it has, people have had that. And the tears was also something that came through, that people that have had tears come through. But it's not as common as I thought it would. I thought it was, but it was certainly significant because it was, as I came out of that, it was almost like I came and I was riding down a different railway track in my life, because literally whatever I had and everything I was involved with, it was left behind, and I started meeting, interestingly enough, many people in the area of consciousness, and I met, came across mental health just shortly after that. So it was phenomenal. I am certain that I had a massive quantum leap in my awakening state, just purely by the people that I was all of a sudden overnight attracting. I was in people that were a lot more conscious in their life. And that was not the people that I attracted before. So that was a very significant difference coming out of that experience. And my interesting enough was about learning about consciousness. So maybe it was supposed to be part of my experience. I don't know.
Yeah, so this is just to add for both of you that I know of another person who's been through coma and she could hear. So, in fact, she could hear everything. She could hear everything. Of course, she's not ready to come on the camera, but she was ready to hear. She actually quoted, unquoted, and said, people thought that I was literally treating me like a dead person and talking over my head, and remembered everything. And there were not so many nice things that she heard, because relatives just come and stand next to your bed and talk, and all kinds of stuff happens, but she remembers everything. Yeah, so just wanted to add that. Thank you. Shobha, let's yes, thank you, Lucille. That was just amazing. And let's go further in your experience, and if you can throw some light on soul communication that you do, and what's the impact of it on your life, on other people's life. Do you experience negative emotions? Do you experience positively? How do you really experience the soul communication, basically?
Okay, so the main purpose of soul communication with clients now is to support them. So it is being, often people struggle in their life and they can't quite understand what's going on. So I am able to quickly tune in, get a quick message, and they go, okay, that's what's going on. Now I understand. Now I can move on with that. There's also other areas that I work in, for instance, children or autistic that are completely non-verbal, or people that have lost their words. It is really, really useful for the carers to know and understand what is going on. How are they feeling? That they will be able to witness a change in behavior, but what specifically is causing that change of behavior? Are they uncomfortable in the environment? Is there a disturbing argument between parents that is causing a change within, and they can react through a physical, maybe shouting out or not shouting out? So, what is going on? What questions do they have? If you brush their hair, are you brushing their hair too hard? Or, it's all these little things. It's all the unheard of that people don't often have access to. You know, it's the same, I talk the same way as if I'm talking to an organ. What is the organ trying to communicate? Or animals, these different species. You know, what am I trying to tell you, that if you had to do that little change in my environment, I would be happy. And often it is just that little thing. And we know in relationships as well, you know, if I can communicate to, with, you know, mediate between two people in a relationship, often our filters in our minds delete, distort, and generalize certain things. And if we are able to communicate without those filters, often it's something so simple that needs to be expressed. And once you know how the other person is feeling, it's okay, well, now we know what we're working with. So that's what it boils down to, is what are we working with? There's no guesswork. It's like, I'm going to be a direct link into something. Ask a question. Okay, so now we can be really specific with our therapy. Yeah, we know exactly what we're working with. Do we need a therapy? Maybe it is just open conversation. So yeah, it's very, very useful to, you know, even myself, I will even tune into my soul, going, okay, what's going on? I can't figure it out myself through my mind. Is there another way? Can I go through the back door and get information? Then I get that information. Aha, there we go. You know, I can accept that, or I cannot accept it, but I can find that solution and be very strategic. What is my next step? So, yeah.
Muted. Let's go over to Shobha. Shobha, if you can take the next question with Ali. Thank you. Shobha, I think you're muted.
Oh, thank you so much, Anu. Yes. And over to Ali. Ali, I believe you are in business, right? You just mentioned that you are in various businesses, and also at the same time you are into spirituality, healing with so many other modalities. So if you can in short tell us, how do you balance the spiritual and your business life? Or
Yeah.
rather, I should put it in this way, that how do you integrate your spiritual life with business life?
Right. See, business is for the living, okay, that we are here for our body. Spirituality is definitely what will help us to go or move ahead, as we were speaking earlier, for a clear passage. So, the way I do it is, most of the time, you know, people out there do not focus on anything else other than the business, okay, and they do not realize that not giving time for your own self, or this, or spirituality that we say, is going to help them anyway. Okay, so my take to everyone is, give equal time for your business and for yourself also. Get into a modality, get into spirituality, which will help you move ahead in your life. So basically, I have my routine which starts at say 5:30, okay, where I do few breathing techniques, where I sit and read books that are going to help me, develop in my business or in my therapy. And then my regular routine starts with, going to office at 9:30, getting the work done. And by evening, when I'm free every day, or say the few days of the week, I have appointments with my client. So in the evenings, I usually take sessions of client, say 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever my timing gives me an availability. On weekend, on Saturdays, I'm available most of the time, and on Sundays, I'm available most of the time. So based on that, this is how I balance my business also, and my practice, which I've been doing. Apart from that, I make sure throughout the day I'm practicing something or the other, the techniques. So the batch flowers that I'm prescribing or giving to the people, patients out there, I take it myself. The aromatherapy that I'm doing, I make it for myself also. So this is how I balance, because these are the techniques which I have learned for myself. Only when I'm able to change myself, people around me will change, and people would want to change themselves, looking at what I am today.
Absolutely. This is very well said because this is the need of the hour. You need to bring the change, be the change yourself first.
Absolutely.
Only then you can change others.
Yes.
So thank you so much, and over to Anu.
Lucille, this one is for you. Uh, what do you understand by telepathy? And do you feel that the messages that you get from the souls by telepathy or giving to them really do reach them? And yeah, how do you do it? And what is this term called interspecies communication? I'm very curious about these two things.
Anu, sorry, I missed the first part of your question. Could you ask that again? Sorry, I was interrupted.
So the first,
Life.
so the first one is about telepathy. What really is telepathy according to you? You connect with the soul, so there is some kind of telepathy that's obviously going on. And how do you reach the message to them, and how do you get message from them? And I'm very curious to know what is interspecies communication. I mean, I've heard of communication. We as human beings can't even communicate with our mom and dad properly, and here you're doing interspecies communication. So I'm really curious to know what that is, and what is telepathy, and what is all this kind of communication. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, I wasn't knowingly born a telepath or a psychic or any of that. I was born like everyday person. And sure, there have been many things that have, I think, just almost blown my consciousness out the roof, if I can put it that way. And there's been too many. But I will say this, for me, I'm not one that reads books, and I don't listen to other people. I learned by trial and error and through experimentation. And it was almost like my telepathic ability evolved from one-way kinesiology or muscle testing. Because I needed to test something, and I wanted to see if it was accurate. So I did thousands. I was absolutely obsessed with tuning into things. I would walk down the road. I would come back with my scan chart. I wanted to see if there was a difference in my emotions. So I was always looking out for any variables. And I did this for years on everything. I would eat, I would eat food, and then I would tune into the meat that I've eaten and wanted to see the emotions of the meat that I've eaten, or, whatever it was. So I think it was born out of an obsession and a belief that, I don't know, for so many years, for the longest time, I have this belief that we are all one. And because I have this belief we are all one, I've always had this thought, well, if we're all one, therefore I can connect with everything. So this was a belief before I could even connect with anything and everything. And I think it was a very important belief for me to have, because over the years of being obsessed with tuning into anything that I could find, seeing the different emotions, whether it's organs or whatever it was, well, maybe the universe thought I was ready to trust a little bit more, because what had happened is I lost my scan charts, and I thought, am I going to like pianos hands? I was like, these were my tools, and I had to go inside myself and trust. And I remember having this internal conflict, but how can I trust? I have nothing to work with. And I kept getting this voice, but you have to trust, have faith. You have to have faith. And that eventually became comfortable because I realized that, okay, if I don't have a scan chart or some point of reference, I'm going to just use what's available in the room that I'm working with. So the table and the chair and everything is going to become my scan chart. And I became really good and very comfortable with tuning into the environment. So my scan chart just became really, really big. Like going into the library and you've got 1,000 books, use one book and one page. And that's exactly what I used to do. I used to experiment with tuning into the environments. And then my environments just became bigger. And so that was quite curious. And then what I would do is I would, at first, when it came to, I couldn't hear words at that stage, but what I would do is I would take like a book. I had this it was actually called Taming the Teenager, but it was a real simple book because I don't work in very sophisticated language, or, I don't read books, but I use this book to pluck out words. So what I was doing is I was tuning into the resonance of the whatever I was working with, and then matching it with the resonance of a word. And then I started making up sentences. Then it started going into like a paragraph I could work. So I learned how to translate what I was picking up energetically into the word vibration, finding that vibrational match. I did this for a few years. And it was about the beginning of last year when I started working with energy centers of the body, the chakras, and moving a little bit away, working away from the diagnostics and things like that. I started hearing, like I would hear, a sentence, but it would be a very neutral voice. And it was a very familiar voice, almost it was like my voice talking to myself. And then I thought, let me write this down. And I quickly wrote it down. And I started practicing that. And eventually I found that when I connected with someone, I could just hear and then I could write down. So I could write a whole page in a matter of minutes. And then it just became second nature that, if I was tuning to, you or, animate or inanimate object would be the same, or animal. Interspecies basically means the ability to talk to and communicate to different species across the board. I look at it as energy. I only see life as pure energy consciousness. So the two pillars which I have as my point of reference is we are all one, therefore I can tune into everything, and we are all energy, therefore I can tune and now communicate, allow that energy communication to come through me, and it's through my when I write something, it would be as if I'm talking to you. It would be using my words. It wouldn't obviously be the words of a dog. My son often, would say to me, "But do dogs talk like that?" I go, "No," but I've learned how to translate it into a word that I can communicate to another person in a very simple and palatable way. So people are confused, especially when I talk animal. Yeah, but they don't talk like that. A dog would go woof. And I go, yes, I understand that. But it is a way of the energy consciousness talking to me. It's literally like a radio. You tune into a particular signal in a radio station and it translates. You're going to have some DJ express it in a particular way, and I express it in my own unique way. Some people will get it, some people won't. So that's how the evolution of my telepathy evolved, that specific area.
Thank you so much. It was like really
There's a lot.
You do it. I really, really acknowledge that you've taken us through the process. Let's go over to Ali right now. I can't see Shobha, so I don't know, maybe the internet that's playing up, and that's how it is, energies right now. So, Ali, over to you. And
Yep.
if you can carry us through your childhood and carry us through one or maybe few incidents that happened in your childhood that forced you into spirituality, because you come from a business family. And I know that it's like written on the slate that you're going to be a businessman. It's like written in your fate because you're born into a family which only talks about business. And yet, your inner soul didn't just want to be a businessman, wanted to be a differently from that. So, what do you really think happened in your childhood? What were the experiences that really made you who you are today?
Right. So as you already mentioned that, it's written, just like the movie which we saw in Three Idiots, Mera beta to engineer hi banega. The minute they're out. So in our community, it's like Mera beta to businessman hi banega. So, but my father never wanted me to get into the business because of the hardships that he had gone through. Okay, and he always encouraged me to go into something which is other than business, right? So all my life I'd been focused on becoming a professional only. But then there was certain point in time, which is this is very important for the youth that are listening to this. At certain point in time, there was recession that was there, and there were no jobs. There were no availability of jobs. People would do anything. So I myself, I'd worked at a call center. Having a master degree, I did work at a call center just so that I could find out a way to go in more. So, the question also, which you asked earlier, how things have changed for you. Let me add something here. By doing these modalities, it has helped me to work on my own self, that is work on your own stress. So when you are stressed, you have these techniques which can help you to take you more further. When you are frustrated, when you are angry, when you think that nothing around you is working, there are these alternative therapies, there are these modalities that are helping you out. Myself getting into this situation is was to understand, why does a person have a disease? Why does a person get those labels of, say, diabetes mellitus, cancer, and this and that, and psychological labels? I don't want to mention them, but why do they get these? So that was the start of the journey to understand. And more than that, I had hearing issues. Okay, I had these pus cells that were coming out of my ears, and nobody knew that. What was the reason behind it? For 3 or 4 years, until I was young, we used to go from doctor to doctor and trying to understand what the problem was. One fine day, everything stopped, everything changed, and I don't know what was that. At an age of say 15 or 16, like when I don't know if I was in ninth standard. During that time, I went to a doctor and I told him, I'm having these ear pain again. And that doctor asked me a simple question, asking me, are you in stress? And that young, a teenager who does not know what stress is, was actually in a big question, what was that stress in my life? And that was the start of journey to understand what we are, how do we get what we get. And then there were also situations in my family which made me more get into this stream of understanding, why am I here, for what I am here, what is the purpose of me being there. Everyone has a purpose in their life. Okay, few are there to help their family, few are there to gain something. But then to me, there's always a question, what is the purpose of my living? And why do these modalities come to me? At times you go to the modalities or the modalities come to you, right? So in my case, the modalities were coming to me. At times I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. Why do I have to do? I am all good, I'm all fine. But then the modality would keep coming again and again, again and again. So at one point in time where I was into business and I stopped everything for, say, a couple of years or something. And after that, something happened, and again I was into these modalities. So the modalities are choosing you. Why? Because maybe they know that you are that person who can help others come out of it, or you are that person because of you someone else would benefit out of it. So I always, the modalities that I do, I make sure that I'm there to help someone come out of their stress or their situation they are in. Okay. That is very important to me. So this is the journey. I mean, there are many other situations which has happened, like, the financial part, if we say, most of the people would connect with me when they were young. The situation in their families were not good. They had dysfunctional families, or there was not enough to eat, or enough money that they could work on, that they required. So all of this, the modalities which I've done, have helped me come out to a situation where today I'm in a different position than what my parents expected me to be in, with what my friends and families have seen me. So these are the power of these modalities that help you in some way or the other. And when, sometimes when you ask me, you have done this modality or you have done this technique, how does that help you? Sometimes you really don't know. You think, how have they helped me? There's a huge question mark that goes on to your mind all the time, all day long. But trust me, yeah, you pull your head, you pull your hair, and you don't know what's actually happening, how things are going to work. But these modalities are there to help you. At times I make use of EFT, at times I make use of sound, at times I make use of aromatherapy, at times I make use of batch flower remedies. At times you'll just see me sitting in one place and tapping. I will not mind who is watching me, what they're thinking about me. I'll be just sitting and tapping. At times you'll see me, just be quiet. I'll not talk to anyone. I'll not say anything. I'll just be quiet, silence. So this is how I'm using these modalities to help me. And these modalities are definitely helping me cope whatever I'm going through, or however I'm wanting to move ahead in my life. Yes.
Welcome back, Shobha.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but I lost connection for a while.
Don't-
Thanks to the technology.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we're coming to the end of the session, Shobha.
Yes, yes. So, Anu, frankly speaking, our guests are so interesting, Lucille and Ali, that I wish we could connect for a little longer. But however, due to time restrictions and prior commitments, we cannot go ahead today. But however, really, we are going to be having them in our next session to continue with the conversation. So today we are at episode 10th of Society Behind Wow, and soon we are starting with season 2, and where we will again invite them and we will continue this conversation further. So over to Anu, and thank you so much, Ali. Thank you so much, Lucille, for being here today and enriching us with your experiences.
Thank you.
Over to
Thank you
Anu.
Thank
for the
you.
opportunity, Shobha.
I'm going to say something in Hindi, which I'll translate for Lucille. ऐसे लग रहा है कि वक्त थम जाए.
क्या बात है.
ऐसे लग रहा है कि वक्त थम जाए. थोड़ी देर और बैठ के गुफ्तगू कर लें. थोड़ी देर और एक दूसरे की बातें सुन लें. हाय कम बैक वक्त.
You have to translate that.
She did some action, right, Lucille? Please tell her to translate that action.
This feels like a drama series.
It is, yes.
Yes, it is. Don't ever mistake it with.
When does season 2 come out?
But Anu, if you want, I can take out the time machine. Yeah, I have that time machine with me.
See,
Hey, you still have to translate in English, Anu. No. Not me.
I said I wish time would just stop, halt for. I wish we could just sit down and chit chat for the rest of the day. I wish we could be connected forever. But the time.
Wait. I have to share something because I'm very excited. On this occasion, I don't wish time to stop because tomorrow I'm going on a 2-day African safari to see lions and elephants and cheetahs.
Oh my
today,
So can he chat?
I'm really excited. I'm going to send you pictures. What do you come up with?
Yes.
So I'm very excited.
Yes.
Come visit me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is wishing all the
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Shobha, and
Yeah.
thank you to Shobha for inviting me to be the co-host for this show for the 10 episodes. I am really in gratitude. And thank you, ye waqt ke liye bhi shukriya. Gratitude for all this time that everybody's taken out. And love you all. Stay happy, stay healthy, and
Stay blessed. Stay blessed.
Blessed.
Thank you. Thank you.
bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.